I was speeding down a lonely Nevada highway at midnight, drunk on rage and desperation. The argument I just had with my mother replayed in my head like a broken record. I had screamed things I could never take back. But it was more than just the fight. I was done. Done pretending to be fine. Done smiling in church while secretly resenting everyone around me. Done hiding the abortions, the drinking, the self-hate under cute Bible verses on my phone screen. I had left the house that night planning to end it all. Or, at least, not caring if I lived to see the sunrise. And then it happened. A sharp curve. Blinding headlights. Metal crushing into metal. Screams. Mine. Then silence. And when I opened my eyes, I was no longer in Nevada. I was somewhere else. Somewhere I never thought I would go. Somewhere I thought only truly evil people ended up. But I was wrong. So very wrong. What I saw in hell still haunts me, and it changed everything. Before I continue, I just want to take a moment to thank you for being here. If you are already subscribed, thank you so much for being part of this growing community. And if this is your first time watching one of these stories, I truly appreciate you. Your support, every like, every comment, every new subscriber, is the energy that keeps this channel going. I cannot wait for you to hit that subscribe button and become part of this journey. Please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. Now, back to the story. My name is Ruby. I grew up in Henderson, Nevada. From the outside, you would think I had a decent life. My mother was a praying woman, always dragging me to church even when I rolled my eyes and groaned. I went to youth group, sang in the choir sometimes, and knew all the right words to say. But I never really knew God. Not personally. Not deeply. By the time I was 23, I had become an expert at hiding. Hiding my pain behind makeup and sarcasm. Hiding the shame of 2 abortions I never told my mother about. Hiding the fact that I hated myself for sleeping around, for drinking until I blacked out, for using people the same way I felt used. I was not an atheist, but I lived like God was a distant stranger who only cared about good girls. I believed in hell. Sure, but I figured I was not bad enough to go there. I prayed sometimes. I had a Bible app. That counted, right? But something in me was dying. A hollow, gnawing emptiness. I smiled in public, but I cried myself to sleep. I showed up at church on Sunday, then slept with a stranger on Monday. That night, July 14th, everything came to a breaking point. My mother and I had a huge blow-up. She found out I was pregnant again. I told her it was my body, my choice, and I did not want to hear another sermon. I stormed out, trembling with rage, got in my car, and sped off into the desert night. I remember gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. The music was blasting. My eyes were blurry with tears. I was screaming at God, cursing him. If you are real, then why do I feel so alone? That was the last thing I shouted before the truck swerved into my lane. The sound of the crash was deafening. The air left my lungs. Then, everything stopped. No pain. No noise. Just darkness. I opened my eyes and felt myself falling. Not physically, but spiritually, like my soul was being dragged downward. The deeper I went, the heavier the air became. It stank of sulfur and something like burning hair. My ears filled with the sound of screaming, guttural, endless, human. I could not see clearly, but the shadows around me were moving. Twisted shapes, writhing in torment. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. I tried to run, but there was no ground beneath me. And then, I saw faces. Faces I recognized. People I had known. People who once sat in the same church pews as me. Their eyes were hollow. their mouths frozen in silent agony. I fell to my knees. Terror gripped my chest. I began to understand. This was not just a nightmare. This was real. This was hell. And I was not just visiting. I was meant to be there. I do not know how long I was down there. Time did not seem to exist in that place. It could have been seconds or years. The pain was not just physical. It was something deeper. It was regret. It was the weight of every lie, every sin, every rejection of truth. I kept hearing voices around me whispering things I had thought to myself during my lowest moments. God does not care about you. You are too far gone. You were never really saved. I wanted to believe it was all a hallucination, some twisted dream my brain conjured in its final moments. But everything inside me knew. It was not. This was not a metaphor. This was not symbolic. This was hell, the place I had heard about in Sunday school but never took seriously. And I was there. Suddenly, the screams paused, not stopped entirely, but faded into the background like a distant wind. That was when I noticed something shifting in the darkness. A faint light began to rise, not from around me, but from within me, like a flicker, the tiniest spark in a pitch-black void. Then a voice. It was not loud, but it pierced through me like lightning. It said, "This is not your time. But if you go back, you must change." The words echoed through every fiber of my soul. They were not angry, but they were firm. They were not cold, but they held a terrifying authority. I knew instantly it was God. Not the version of him I had created in my mind. Not a soft, passive God who excused everything. This was the real, holy, sovereign God. And yet, he was showing me mercy. I cried out with everything I had left. "I am sorry. I did not know. Please, give me another chance." I saw flashes, moments from my life. Me walking out of the abortion clinic numb. Me laughing while mocking my mother's prayers. Me sleeping with a married man just to feel wanted. It all replayed before me. I wept like a child. The voice came again. "Warn them. Hell is real. Life is short. Choose me." Then the ground beneath me shook violently. I felt something lift me, as if I was being ripped out of the pit. There was a sound, like a rushing wind, and everything went white. I gasped awake, surrounded by the blinding lights of a hospital room. My lungs screamed for air, and I could barely move. A nurse yelled for a doctor. My mother was in the corner, sobbing into her hands. The doctors called it a miracle. The paramedics who pulled me from the wreck said my car was wrapped around a tree. No seatbelt. No explanation for how I survived without a broken spine or brain damage. I knew the truth. God had pulled me out, not just out of death, but out of a destiny I had chosen with my own rebellion. The days after were heavy. I could not eat. I could not sleep. All I could do was cry and think. My mother sat by my bedside and prayed over me. I finally confessed everything: the abortions, the men, the drugs, the fake smiles. She did not judge me. She just held me. But her eyes told me she had been praying for years for this moment. The weight of what I had seen haunted me. The faces, the fire, the smell, the despair. But even more than that, the voice, the command. Warn them. Hell is real. Life is short. Choose me. I knew I could not go back to my old life. I had been given mercy I did not deserve. And that kind of grace demands a response. When I left that hospital, I was not the same woman. I still bore the scars, physically, emotionally, but something inside me had been completely torn down and rebuilt. I walked out knowing one thing with unshakable certainty. I had come face to face with eternity. And by sheer mercy, I had been given another chance. I could no longer pretend. I could no longer play church on Sunday and sleep with the enemy on Monday. I broke up with the man I was seeing, deleted numbers, tossed out the pills, the vodka, the clothes I used to seduce and manipulate. I cried through worship songs I used to yawn through. I sat with my Bible in trembling silence, desperate to hear that voice again. Not out of fear, but because I had tasted grace, and it undid me. And yes, there were hard days. There were nights I wept over the babies I aborted. Over the years I wasted trying to prove I was strong while I was silently dying inside. Over the people I had hurt with my selfishness. But I no longer carried that weight alone. Jesus carried it. And every morning, He gave me breath again. My relationships began to change. My mother and I prayed together, really prayed, not just before dinner, but on our knees face to floor. My testimony started to spread. Friends who once partied with me messaged me saying, "What happened to you?" I told them the truth. Not everyone believed me. Some mocked. Some said I was just traumatized. Some accused me of making it up for attention. But I do not need anyone's approval. I know what I saw. I know where I went. And I know who pulled me out. My heart breaks for how many Christians live like I used to, lukewarm, compromised, half awake. I was in church but lost. I wore the mask. I lifted my hands, but my heart was dead. I now burn with a new urgency. I cannot stay silent. Because hell is not just a metaphor. It is not a scare tactic. It is a real place, and real people are going there every day, thinking they're fine. If my story reaches even one person before it is too late, then this pain has a purpose. To anyone watching this, hear me. Sin is not worth it. That moment of pleasure, that taste of rebellion, that illusion of control, it all ends in death. You cannot outsmart hell. You cannot charm your way past God's judgment. But here is the good news. Grace is real. Mercy is available. And the blood of Jesus still speaks. If He reached down into the flames for someone like me, He will do the same for you. But you must choose. Now, let me leave you with this. You may forget your sins, but hell remembers them until they are covered by the blood. The scariest thing about hell is not the fire. It is the eternal separation from the one you ignored your whole life. I want to ask you, have you been playing church while hiding secret sin? Do you believe in heaven but live like hell is a myth? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments. Tell me what this story stirred in you. I read every single word, and I will be praying for you. If this story hit your heart, do not keep it to yourself. Like it, share it, subscribe. Because the message is not just mine, it is for someone else out there who is one wrong turn away from eternity. Let us reach them together.